Thanks for joining us here at Functional Bliss, where Audra and Jessica will guide you through exercises and wellness techniques to help you live your best life every day. It's in the name after all, Functional Bliss. Before you do anything else, click like and subscribe and ring the bell so you'll know whenever we put up a new video. To join our Blissful Gang for live Zoom classes where you can get more direct suggestions and encouragement, go to our website and sign up. Check the class description below for any equipment needs, grab your gear, and let's get started.
So we are going to start on our backs in constructive rest. So take your time, come on down. And then before we get deep into our practice, I should say, if the space that you're working in is chilly, and when you hit your Shavasana, you're going to want your sweater or your socks or a blanket, just make sure that they're kind of nearby so that when you get to that point, you can get cozy without too much effort. Once you got your gear, come on down onto your back, step your feet as wide as you like, and then give that little bit of time to get everything situated. Make sure your costume feels good, your hair is in a good position, your shoulder blades feel good. Let your knees drop in towards each other if that feels good. That might not be for everybody, so sometimes a wider position with the knees might feel a little bit more stable. And then once you've found a position that you can reduce as much efforting as possible, give a moment here to just kind of soak in the environment that you're working in. So notice the floor underneath you. And even if it helps you notice it, maybe look a little to the left, look a little to the right, just take in your environment. Look at the ceiling above you. Get a quick little peripheral glance of the walls around you. If you've got windows in your room or a door, maybe take a moment to just notice. And then once you've taken a moment to notice the environment around you, start to notice the solidness of the floor underneath you. And still staying in that idea of as little effort as possible. But now we're going to start to breathe just a little bit more expansively. So breathing into the rib cage or breathing into the belly, if breathing into the belly helps you connect deeper with your breath. So find the place where you just isn't your natural go-to, where you're just taking a nice big breath. But with each exhale, get a little softer and heavier into the ground. And then once you feel like you're kind of getting a groove with your breath and each exhale is getting you a little softer and a little heavier, then maybe see if you can just take a moment to notice the breath coming in and out through your nostrils. So maybe you'll notice the coolness of the air as you breathe in and the slight or warmth as you breathe out. All right, and now we're going to change the directional space that we're going to tune in and feel the breath. So we're going to start by breathing, just imagine, think upper chest and shoulder. So that's typically not where I would tell you to direct your breath, but just for those subtle variations and little differentiations. See if you can imagine that you're breathing up into your chest, up into your collarbones, and a little bit into your shoulders. Take your inhale there. You might feel your shoulders kind of round, or it might create a little bit of tension in the upper body. And then with your exhale, get a little softer, a little heavier, let your shoulders soften and relax. And now we're going to take the breath down a little bit further. So you're going to imagine that you're maybe breathing into your sternum, or think of that, the center of your breastbone. So take a breath into that space, but then with your exhale, you're going to get a little softer and heavier into the ground. And now we're going to take that directional breath and breathe into the side bottom curve of the rib cage. So see if you can draw the breath to the side bottom curves of your rib cage, but with your exhale, you're going to get a little softer and heavier into the ground. And now we're going to draw the breath a little bit further. So we're going to go just a little bit past that bottom curve of the rib cage. So think solar plexus. And if it helps you find it, place your hands on the solar plexus. So that's below the rib cage, but above the belly button. Find that space and then draw the breath there. So you'll inhale into the solar plexus. Exhale, get soft and heavy into the ground. And now we're going to breathe slightly past the solar plexus. So you're going to think belly button, but rather than thinking belly button and breathing and like filling the belly up with like a balloon, you're going to think about breathing down below the belly button. So you're going to take an inhalation, breathe past the solar plexus towards the belly button. And then as you exhale, get soft and heavy into the ground. Take one more breath here. And then before we move away from this place of gentle stillness, set an intention to honor your mind and your body throughout your practice, never doing anything that would cause your body pain, and treating yourself with love, care, and respect. With that intention set, start to just wiggle your fingers a little bit, twinkle your fingers, move your wrists a little bit, just invite a little bit of waking up into the hands and into the wrists. And then take that waking up into your feet as well. So wiggle your toes. And then if you're wiggling your toes, wiggle your fingers. And if you're wiggling your wrists, wiggle your ankles. So bring that movement into the lowest extremities of your limbs, fingers and toes, wrists and ankles. And then once you've kind of wiggled out your toes, your fingers, your ankles, and your wrists just enough, arms are going to float up into cactus or goalpost position. Legs are going to start to move right into some windshield wipers with a head turn. So head is going to turn in the opposite direction of your knees. Knees are dropping gently side to side. If you're feeling very stiff in the hips or tight in the low back, maybe you go for a softer range of motion to start and then see how things feel once they warm up just a little bit. And then once you found a little bit extra warmth or a little bit more space to move, then invite that bigger movement in, but only if that feels good. Frankie's in the house. All right, so maybe if it feels good at this point, you'll pick up the pace just a little bit, moving just with a little bit more speed, but not too much. We don't want to go so fast that we're losing that integrity of the movement or losing the connection of our brain to the sensations that's going on in the body. Now, the next time your knees drop to the right and your head turns to the left, stay there, take an extra cycle of breath. On your next inhale, knees and head come through center. Knees are going to drop over to the left. Head's going to turn to the right. Stay there for an extra cycle of breath. Inhale, come back through center. And now we're going to start to pull the knees into the chest and then come back to those cactus goalpost arms with the feet on the ground. So we're going to keep our feet in a fairly wide configuration. Arms are going to float to to those cactus arms, and then feet are going to touch down and then pull the knees toward your shoulders and then release again. So we're going to go a couple times here just to find a little space in the back, a little movement in the hip flexors, a light bit of engagement in our core and abdominal muscles. Notice how your back feels here. Notice how your knees feel here. You still have a little bit of compression of the knees. So does it feel good to keep that compression, or are you keeping a lighter space or a bit of space between the backs of the knees? Just take the time to notice. The next time your knees pull up towards your shoulders, hang out there, just take an extra cycle of breath. Awesome. And now we're going to go a little bit further, but with a slight variation. So right leg is going to go long, left leg is going to stay bent, and the arms are going to go up into a little bit more of a starfish situation. So we're going to keep the left leg bent, right leg is going to extend out, both arms up and overhead. Pull everything back in with a little bit of control. Now, right leg is going to stay bent. Left leg is going to extend nice and long. Arms are going to stretch up and overhead. Bring it back in. Right leg is going to go long. Left knee is going to stay bent. Arms are going to reach up into that starfish configuration. Beautiful. Bring it back in. Left leg is going to go long. Right knee is going to stay bent. Arms up and overhead. Bring it back in. Right leg is going to go long. Left knee is going to be bent. Arms up and overhead. Bring it back in. Left leg is going to go long. Right knee is going to be bent. Arms up and overhead. Bring it back in, and we're going to keep a slight bit of width between the knees and now start to do big rocks from side to side. So think shoulder to shoulder, rolling across the back of the body. One more roll from side to side, and then we're going to go for light legs up the wall. So you're going to float your feet up towards the ceiling just enough. We want to keep the knees nice and generously bent so we're not feeling too much tugging against the backs of the legs. And now we're going to crunch up the feet. So you're going to curl your toes in like you're trying to make a little fist with your feet, and then stretch your feet out and away. Curl the toes in, scrunch up the bottom of your feet, and then stretch the toes away. Crunch the toes in, curl up the bottom of the feet, stretch the toes away. Crunch the toes in, curl up the bottom of the feet, stretch the toes away. Do that one more time. Crunch the toes in, curl up the bottom of the feet, stretch the toes away, and then float your feet back down to the ground. And now we're going to walk the legs nice and long. So we're going to think mountain pose in a supine position. So you're going to start to walk your feet down to the end of the mat, but feet are going to be about hip width distance apart, and the feet are going to be lightly flexed as if your feet were touching the earth. So you're going to think that your feet are in a standing position, feet about hip width distance apart, legs nice and long. Arms are going to come out at your sides, palms facing up to start. And then you're going to tune in here and notice the upper body. How does the upper body feel? Could you anchor the backs of your ribs down towards the ground? Does it change your shoulders at all? Do you want to double tuck your chin a little bit? Imagine that there is earth beneath your feet. So gently imagine that you're pressing down into the bottom of your feet as you reach up through the crown of your head. Take a nice big breath in. Slow breath out. And then we're going to go for tall mountain and supine position. So we're going to reach the arms up and overhead, make as much width between your arms so that your shoulders have plenty of room to move. Palms are going to face in towards each other. Anchor your ribs back down to the ground. Reach some energy down into your feet. Take a nice big breath in. Slow breath out. And then we're going to soften that mountain pose. And now we're going to step the feet out nice and wide. So you're going to step your feet out so they're about 3.5 feet apart, whatever that means to you. Find a good stepping width of your feet, and then we're going to turn both toes over to the right. Once you've got both toes over to the right, we're going to go left arm up, right arm slightly down. We're going for a supine triangle pose. So now you're going to reach your right hand as if you're reaching it towards your right foot. Left hand is going to extend up above your head, and then turn your head as much as you can to look to your left hand. Take a nice big breath. Slow breath out. Release nice and slow. Take a moment to notice. Notice if you had a little bit of compression in your hip. If your hips got a little bit of a compression, give them a little shake and a little wiggle. We're going to take it to the other side. So toes are going to drop to the left. Once you've got it there, left hand down a little bit, right hand up, and then we're going to reach the left hand towards the left foot. Once you feel that little bit of side body compression, look up towards your right hand just as much as you can. Take a nice big breath. Slow breath out. Nice and easy. Take it back through center. Release your feet. If your hips got a little compressed on that side, give your hips a nice little wiggle. Take one more little wiggle of the hips, and then keep your legs in that wide configuration. So think big starfish, arms up overhead. And now we're going to do that little bit of pandiculation. So you're going to reach through your fingers, reach through your toes, take up a whole bunch of space in your body. One big exhale, and then when you feel ready, pull your knees back up towards the shoulders, give them a little hug and squeeze, keep a little bit of a wide configuration, come back to that rolling across the back, shoulder to shoulder. Nice. One more little rock side to side, and then we're going to re-grab the backs of the thighs, and we're going to start to rock and roll up, finding our way towards a Sukhasana position. So take a couple of good rocks and rolls, come up with a little bit of momentum, and then find that easy seat position. So legs crisscrossed, and then give a second here to just find that nice tall spine. Make sure your hips feel good, your ankles feel good, your back feels good. And then once you've got a nice tall position with the spine and your seat feels good, inhale, let your shoulders lift up to your ears with a little bit of a squeeze. And then exhale, let the shoulders just melt straight down. Inhale, let your shoulders lift, get a little squeeze. Exhale, let your shoulders melt down. Inhale, let your shoulders lift, get a little squeeze. Exhale, soften the shoulders down. Right hand's going to touch down to the ground. Left hand's going to reach up to over to the right. Pull the top thumb back, look up towards your hand, take a breath. And now we're going to take that left hand and we're going to circle around. So you're going to take that left hand, circle around in front of you, sweep that hand over to the other side. Sweep your right hand up and over, get your side bend over to the other side. Pull that top thumb back, look up towards the sky, take a nice big breath. And now we're going to scoop that hand around and down. So right hand's going to circle around in front, take it over to the right. Left hand's going to sweep up and overhead. And now we're going to go at a slightly more dynamic pace. So once you hit the edge of that side bend, swoop it over to the other side. Plant that left hand down, right hand reaches up. And then once you hit the end of that side bend, swoop it over to the other side. Right hand down, left hand reaches up. Once you hit the edge of that, swoop it over to the other side. And then this time we're going to take it right to the center. So swoop it through center, bring the left hand into me, and then walk out into a halfway easy seated forward fold. So not maybe the full range of motion that you could typically go towards. Find that halfway point and then see if you can soften your elbows down, soften through the back of your body. Take a nice big breath in. Slow breath out. Come up nice and slow. And then we're going to switch the butt back, send your legs out in front of you, just enough so you have a little bit of space. And then we're going to grab hold of the back of the right thigh, lift the leg up, and take a couple little knee hinges. So nothing extreme. We just want to kind of tune in and notice, how does your knee feel this morning? One more little knee hinge here, and then set that foot down, switch it over to the other side. Grab the back of your thigh, hold that leg in a lifted position. Take a couple of knee hinges here. Nice. One more little knee hinge here. And then when you're ready, set that foot down, legs nice and long, super generous bend in the knees. Inhale, lift your arms up and overhead. Exhale, reach towards your feet. And then hands are going to come to the outsides of the legs. Press gently into your hands. Drag your hands as you come back up. And then inhale, sweep your arms up and overhead. Look to the sky. Exhale, fold forward just enough. Touch to the outsides of your feet. Find the ground. Press into the palms. Drag your palms back up. Inhale, float your arms up and overhead. Look to the sky. Exhale and fold. Press into the palms, drag your hands all the way back up. Beautiful. And then we're going to spin it around into a tabletop position. Take your time as you come around, but grab your block and have it available and nearby. We're going to start with just your traditional tabletop position, hands on the ground, knees on the ground. Push evenly down into your hands and your knees. So you're working pressure down evenly into all four limbs. Take a moment here just to notice as you press down into the knees and down into the hands, notice the back of your body. Notice your head position. Is your head kind of reaching towards the floor, or can you pull the chin back away from the floor just a little bit? Take a breath, nice and full. Think breath into that solar plexus area again. So draw the breath down just a little further past the rib cage. Exhale, nice and slow. Move it right into a cat-cow from here. Inhale, drop your belly, lift your chest, lift your tail. Exhale and round your back. Inhale, drop your belly. Exhale, round your back. Inhale, drop your belly. Exhale, round your back. Find a neutral spine and then take it into C-spine, hugging hip to shoulder like you're making a little C curve with your spine. Look over your shoulder toward your hip. Take a few times from side to side. Notice as you do your C-spine, did you kind of bring the weight back into your knees a little bit more? Can you keep a little bit of even pressure in your knees and in your hands? Does it change how you feel the shape of your body? Take one more little C-spine each way. And then as you come back to center, right leg is going to step out to the side like you're going for a gate pose. And we're going to go mini rocks in our gate pose. So just a light rock forward, full range of motion, but just get a little sense of how your inner thighs are feeling. Awesome. One more little rock forward and back. And then we're going to take that right leg that's out to the side. We're going to pick it up and sweep it all the way back behind, over and across to the left corner, and then past the left corner of your mat. Hug your left shoulder towards your left hip. Look over your left shoulder towards your right foot. Take a breath. Beautiful. And then step that leg in nice and slow and controlled. Step the left leg out to the side, going for that gate position. Once you've got the left leg out, go for those mini rocks. So we just want to feel out, how is the inner thigh feeling this morning? The next time your shoulders come in line with the wrist, pick that left leg up, swing it all the way back behind you, over and across, past the right corner of your mat. Hug in at the right side body, look over your right shoulder towards your left foot, take a breath. Nice. And then when you're ready, step it all back in. We're going to slide the right leg back, toes curled under, take about 3 to 5 rocks forward and back, just to kind of wake up the back of the heel, wake up the back of the calf. One more rock forward and back. And then when you're ready, slide that leg in, switch over to the other leg. Slide the left leg back, toes curled under, rock forward and back. Nice. One more rock forward and back. And then we're going to take our yoga block and we're going to place it under a knee or a shin. So we're going to do our little hip dips. I'm going to start with it under my left knee, just so that you can see my outer leg. So we're putting the block under the left knee and shin. And then we're going to line up the right knee with the left knee. So the knee is going to be in a hovered position. And now we're going to do some knee taps. So it's our little hip dips. So you're going to touch the right knee down to the ground and then pick the knee up and bring it back up to knee height. Touch your right knee down and then pick it up. And now we're going to try to keep the upper body fairly stable. There's not going to be a lot of movement up in the shoulders. We're going to let most of this work come out of the left side of your hip. So hopefully here, if your left knee is on the block and you're getting a little bit of work, and we're going to go for a light sense of fatigue. So we want to get to the point where we feel a good bit of sensation in the side of the left hip. Take about 2 or 3 more, just depending on the pace that you're going with. And then when you're ready, if that right knee touches down gently, step your left knee off, and then we're going to just move that block right over to the other side. So place the block underneath your right knee and shin, arrange it so it's comfortable. So if there's pressure on the knee, you could always slide it back and just keep the shin on, not the kneecap itself. So get yourself into that comfort. And then away we go. We dip the knee up and touch the knee down. And most of the work now will start to come out of the side of the right hip. Beautiful. Go for a little bit of fatigue. We want to feel a good bit of sensation in that right side, a little bit of sense of stability in the shoulders and upper body. Nice. Take 1 or 2 more times up and down, just depending on the pace that you're going with. And then when you feel ready, gently touch that left knee down. Step your right leg off of your block, move your block off to the side, and we're going to move it right into puppy pose. So keep your hips fairly in line with your knees. Walk your hands forward, arms as wide as you like them to be, and then soften your heart down, soften your forehead down. Take 3 nice deep breaths. When you feel ready, slowly start to bring it back into your tabletop position. Curl both sets of toes under, take a couple little gentle rocks forward and back, just to kind of feel out the toes and the bottoms of the feet. Make sure things feel good. Hopefully feeling slight sense of warmth in the feet at this point. Wonderful. One more little rock forward and back. And then the next time your shoulders come in line with the wrists, lift your hips up, come up into downward facing dog. Take a couple of petals of the legs. 1 or 2 more petals of the legs, and then we're going to take a moment of stillness in our down dog. So you're going to heel, your heels are going to get heavy towards the ground, but not everybody's heels will touch the ground in a downward facing dog. So don't worry about trying to force your heels down, but let your heels get heavier towards the earth. Soften your knees just a little bit. Let your heart melt towards your thighs. And then once you found that heart towards the thighs position, straighten your legs again or press your heels a little further down towards the ground. And then we're going to find a little Hasta Bandha. So we're going to imagine that the center of our palms is a straw and it's sucking up from the earth. So you're going to suck up from the center of your palms. Let that strong energy come up through your arms, through your shoulders. Let your head relax between your arms. Take one more breath. When you're ready, soften your knees, look forward, walk your feet up to meet your hands, come to a soft ragdoll fold at the top of your mat. And then once you found that soft ragdoll fold, we're going to start to walk it side to side. So stay in that folded position and start to walk your fingers over to the right, over to the left. Beautiful. Take one more little walk of the fingers from side to side. And then if you can, grab your yoga block, place it at the lowest setting, long ways at the top of your mat. And then we're going to start to roll up nice and slow. So keep your block on the ground, bend your knees a lot, pull your abdominal muscles in, take your time as you roll up to standing. And then once you're up and standing, just give everything a second, get yourself situated. And then we're going to go right foot on the block and we're going to go for those hip dips again, but in a different configuration. So we're going to place the right foot on. Left foot's going to come up to level. So we're going to get the feet in line with each other. And now we're going to do a hip dip. And I'm going to turn myself sideways just to make sure that you see what's actually happening. So we're going to get our feet into that level position, hands on the hips so you can feel it. It's the hips that are doing the work. So you're going to dip and touch that foot down, but keep your standing leg as straight as you can. So it's not bending the knee to touch the foot down. It's reaching your hip down to touch the foot. Beautiful. 1 or 2 more little hip dips. And now take it into a bend the knee and tap the heel. So you're going to bend your standing leg, knee, tap your heel down. Go for about 3 more if you can. Nice. And then once you've done about 3 heel taps, step it off, take a second to rearrange yourself and then bring it right over to the other side. So other foot on your block, find that level position, foot lined up with foot, and then keep your standing leg straight, do your little hip dips. You're reaching your foot down to the ground. And then just depending on height and the height of your block, your foot might not actually touch all the way down, but we are trying to reach it towards the ground and then pull it back to the level foot position on your block. Notice if you feel a slight sense of imbalance one side compared to the other. Like I'm definitely feeling like my stability on my left leg compared to my right is a little bit wobbly. Take one more dip of that hip up and down and then take it into the knee bend, standing leg, touch your heel down and then come back up. So do about 3 to 5 heel dips, just depending on how your pace is going. Nice. And then once you've done that last one, take a moment to step your feet off, give your knees and your hips a little shake and a little wiggle because that work can be a little bit fatiguing. And then once you've kind of shaken your legs out, we're going to find a mountain pose. We're going to do 3 little variations of mountain pose. So the first one we're going to do is big toes together, heels slightly apart. So see if you can find that stance first. Big toes together, heels slightly apart. And then we're going to gently press down into the feet, lightly lift up through the top of the head. If you have a tendency towards hyperextension of the knees, keep your knees slightly soft, but we want to feel like there's a little bit of a lift coming from the tops of the thighs and a little lift coming up through the top of your head. And then we're going to see if we can lift up from the arches of the feet. Arches of the feet are going to stay lifted, and then you're going to imagine that your heels are wrapping in towards each other. You're going to feel maybe a little squeeze in your butt. Let your hands come down at your sides, palms facing forward, shoulders soft and down. Gaze forward, take a breath. So that toes together position is really not for everybody's hips because our hip points are here and that kind of makes our thigh bones go in a little bit. So now we're going to rearrange our feet. Step your feet so they're about hip width distance apart so that your heels are fairly in line with those front protruding hip bones. And then we're going to find that same sensation again though. Lift the arches of your feet. Lift up through the tops of your thighs, lift up through the top of your head, wrap your heels in towards each other, get a little squeeze in your butt muscles, Palms facing forward, shoulders soft and down. Take a breath here. Nice. And then soften that up one last time. We're going to step the feet slightly wider. So we're going to go for feet about shoulder distance apart. So just slightly wider than your hip width distance. Toes pointing forward, heels in, and we're going to wrap the heels in towards each other. Feel that little squeeze in the butt, a light lift through the tops of the thighs, lift up through the tops of your head, palms facing forward, shoulders soft and down. Take a breath. And then take a moment to soften everything up and then pick the one that you felt was most interesting or felt the best in your body. So whether it was big toes together, hip width distance, or shoulder distance, find the spacing that felt really easeful, that you didn't have to effort too much in, or just felt interesting and unique and you wanted to go for that a second time. Find the mountain pose footing that you like the best. Press down into your feet, lift up through the top of your head, wrap your heels in towards each other, shine your palms forward, bring a little energy down into your fingers. Reach a little bit more energy up through your top of your head. Pull your ribs back as if you're trying to anchor your ribs back against that floor like we did our mountain pose on the ground. Take a breath. Beautiful. And then if you're holding a considerable amount of tension, soften up just enough that you can feel a lighter sense in your mountain pose. And then when you're ready, inhale, arms up, look up. Exhale, hands through heart center, hands down at your sides. Inhale, arms up, look up. Exhale, bend your knees, hinge from your waist, fold down to the ground. Inhale to a half forward fold. Keep that length in your spine. Bend your knees, push into your feet. Inhale, arms up. Hands to heart center, hands down at your sides. Inhale, arms up, look up. Exhale, bend your knees, hinge from your waist, fold down to the ground. Inhale to half forward fold. Exhale, we're going to soften down, bend your knees, pull your abdominal muscles in, roll your way up to standing. Take your time as you roll up. Roll your shoulders around, down, and back. Right hand's going to stay down at your thigh. Left hand's going to reach up. Take a quick little dip over to the right. Come right up through center. Left hand down, right hand reaches up. Take a quick dip over to the left. Both arms up and overhead. And then as we exhale, we're going to do a light twist. Reach your right hand back. Look to your right hand. Inhale, arms up and overhead. Come back through center. Exhale, twist over to the other side. Look to your left hand. Inhale, come through center. Exhale, twist. Inhale through center. Exhale, twist. Inhale through center. Exhale, twist. Inhale, center. Exhale, twist. Inhale, center, arms up and overhead. Exhale, sink into a light and gentle chair. Inhale, rise right back up. Exhale, sink into a chair. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, sink into chair. Inhale, rise up. Take a moment here, pause, and then we're going to reverse the breath. So now when you feel ready, inhale, sink into chair, maybe go a little bit deeper. Exhale, press into your feet and rise up. Inhale, sink into chair, go a little bit further. Exhale, press into your feet, rise up. Inhale, sink into chair, nice and deep. Exhale, press into your feet, rise up. And then we're going to swan dive, swoop your arms down, bend your knees a little bit, circle all the way down to the ground. Inhale to a half forward fold. Exhale to soften down, plant your palms, step back to downward facing dog. Take a few moments here just to pedal out the legs, move your hips a little bit, move your shoulders a little bit. Nice. One more pedal of each leg and then float your knees down into tabletop position. Grab your yoga block. We're going to take our yoga block, place it between our legs like you're going to be able to sit your butt back onto your yoga block. And then you're going to play around with the height of your yoga block. For some of us, medium setting, long ways is going to feel good to give a little support to the butt. For some of us, lower setting is going to feel better. So play around with where the block feels good. And then once you've got that block underneath your butt, take a second, wiggle out some space for your belly, wiggle out some space for your chest, and then soften your heart down just a little bit, soften the back of your neck. Take 3 nice deep breaths. All right, when you're ready, lift back up through tabletop position. We're gonna take that block, move it back towards the front end of your mat. We'll use it when we get back into our flow. Step your feet back to a plank position. Take your time as you find that nice strong planking position. Broaden your shoulders, squeeze your butt just a little bit, push through your heels. Take a moment to notice the strength in your body. And then we're gonna lower the knees gently, lower your hips gently, lower down. So we're gonna go for some cobras here. We're gonna bring the hands alongside the shoulders, elbows soften at the ribs, nose is gonna touch the ground. And then we're gonna pull the nose away from the ground, lift your eyes, lift your gaze, lift your heart. Exhale, lower back down nice and slow. Nose touches the ground. Lift your nose, lift your eyes, lift your gaze, lift your heart. Lower down nice and slow. One more time, just like that. Lift your nose, lift your eyes, lift your gaze, lift your heart. Lower nice and slow. And now we're going to go with a more fluid cobra with a leg lift on each side. So you're going to just inhale, lift your heart, lift your right leg. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, lift your heart, lift your left leg. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, lift your heart, lift both legs. Exhale, lower down. Push your way up through tabletop to a semi-child's pose position, just drawing the butt back a little bit. And then come forward, curl the toes under, exhale up to downward facing dog. Look forward, walk your feet up to meet your hands, come to a soft fold at the top of your mat. At the top of your mat, walk it a little bit side to side. Walk it over to the right, walk it over to the left. Go for about 3 times each side. Beautiful. And then as you come back through center, bend your knees a lot, pull your abdominal muscles in, take your time as you roll your way up to standing, roll your shoulders down and back, find the position of your feet for the mountain pose you like best this morning, and then reach down into your feet, press up through the top of your head, take a breath. Beautiful. Inhale, arms up, look up. Exhale and fold. Inhale, half forward fold. Exhale to soften down. We're going to step the right leg back, warrior 2, and then eventually we'll get ourselves into a triangle position, but we'll use our yoga block. So if you want to, set it up so it's kind of close to your front foot, your left foot. And then once you've got your block in place, take your right hand, pick it up into your warrior 2, readjust anything that you need to, maybe sink just a little further into that front thigh. And then we're going to draw that energy up again from the soles of our feet, up the legs, up the side body, out through the fingertips, gaze forward, take a breath. And then, so warrior 2, our warrior positions, they're very strong and confidence building, but could you find a softness in your strength? So in your warrior 2, just for a moment, could you soften your arms? Could you soften your fingers? Could you soften your legs, yet still feel strong and secure? So within your strength, can you find a sense of softness? Take a moment to see if you can find it. And then we're going to move right into triangle pose. Straighten that front leg, pop the back hip out, reach through your torso. And then if you want to, grab your yoga block. Go for the tallest setting to start. Place it nice and close to the inside of your left foot. Plant your palm and then press down into the yoga block so you can pull those bottom ribs forward. Reach your right hand up to the sky. We're going to look down towards our left hand. So once you've got your hand planted on the block, right arm is extended up, look down towards that left hand, pause there, take a breath. Lift some energy up through the arches of your feet, strong legs, strong side body, lift up. We're going to reverse our triangle. Right hand's going to touch the back thigh. Left hand's going to lift up, reach a little bit through the side of the body. And then we're going to circle the hands down, bend the front knee, find your way into runner's lunge. Take your yoga block, pass it gently over to the left side of your mat, plant your palms, step back to plank, lower your knees, lower gently down onto your belly. One cobra here, just as high as you like. Inhale as you lift up. Exhale as you lower down. Push your way up to tabletop position. Curl the toes under. Pull your butt gently back towards your heels. And then on an exhale, lift up into downward facing dog. Look forward. Walk your feet up to meet your hands. Come to a soft fold at the top of your mat. Take 3 little walks from side to side, taking it over to the right, take it over to the left. And then as you come through center, inhale to half forward fold, find some length in your spine. Keep that length in your spine. Bend your knees, push into your feet. Inhale, arms up. Hands to heart center. Hands down at your sides. Inhale, arms up, look up. Exhale, bend your knees and fold. Inhale, half forward fold. Exhale to soften down, left leg back, warrior two. Drop the back heel, turn the toes out. But if you want to, place your yoga block kind of close to that right front foot so it's there ready for you when you hit that triangle. Left hand is going to pick you up. Find your warrior two just for a moment. Maybe see if you can sink a little bit deeper into that front thigh. Draw that nice, strong, engaging energy up the legs, up the side body, out through the fingertips. Reach that energy out, gaze forward, take a breath. And now see, can you find that softness in your strength? A little entry of softness into the legs, a little softness in the arms, but still engaged and strong. Take a breath and see if you can notice just that little variation. Awesome. And then when you're ready, straighten the front leg, pop the back hip out, reach long through your torso, grab your yoga block, place it nice and close to the front of that right foot, plant your palms, left hand reaches up. And then once you've got your left hand up to the sky, look towards your right hand. Lift from the arches of your feet, strong legs, strong side body. Lift yourself up, coming through warrior two, and then circle your hands around and down, coming through a runner's lunge. Plant your palms. Oops, I forgot that reverse triangle. My bad, sorry. Take it up to that triangle if you want to. Reverse your triangle just to find that space through the side of your body, and then circle your hands around and down. Pivot that back heel, find runner's lunge. Step back to plank. Bring the knees down, lower gently onto your belly. Inhale up to cobra just as high as you like. Exhale to lower down. Curl the toes under, push your way up through tabletop position, back towards a semi-child's pose position, and then lift your hips up into downward facing dog. Look forward, walk, step, or hop your feet up to the top of your mat. Inhale to a half forward fold. Exhale to soften down, walk it from side to side. Just go for about 3 from side to side. Nice. And then once you've done about 3 from side to side, bend your knees a lot, pull your abdominal muscles in, roll your way up. Take your time as you roll up. Roll your shoulders all the way up to your ears, roll them around, down and back. Take a moment to just find your mountain pose again, lifting up through the front of your body. Wrap your heels in towards each other. Feel a little squeeze up in the butt muscles. Feel the back of your body lighten up just as much as the front. Nice. And then when you're ready, inhale, arms up, look up. Exhale and fold, knees bent or straight, whatever feels better in your body. Inhale, half forward fold. Exhale to soften down. Grab your yoga block, place it over to the right side. Step your right leg back, warrior two. Drop the back heel, turn the toes out. Right hand is going to pick you up. And then in your warrior two now, find either that softness or the strength. Find the thing that feels really resonating with you this morning. And then take that energy, lift up through the top of your head. Take one more moment. Straighten the front leg, pop the back hip out, move right into your triangle. Grab your block if you want to, placing it in front of the foot, or if you like a little variation, try it behind the foot and see how that feels. Press into the block, pull those bottom ribs forward, top hand up, gaze forward this time just for a moment. Take a breath. Leave your block on the ground, lift up, reverse your triangle, drop the back hand, reach the front hand up, and then we're going to scoop right through to that runner's lunge. Bend the front knee, pivot your back heel, circle your hands around, move your block as needed, plant your back to plank. Lower your knees, gently lower onto your belly. Inhale up to cobra just as high as you like. Exhale up to down dog or through tabletop. Look forward, walk your feet up to meet your hands. Inhale, half forward fold. Exhale to soften down, press firm into your feet. Inhale, sweep your arms up and overhead. Hands to heart center. Hands down at your sides. Inhale, arms up, look up. Exhale and fold. Inhale, half forward fold. Exhale to soften down, left leg back, warrior two. Drop the back heel, turn the toes out, set your block up if you want to play with the block. Left hand is going to pick you up, find that warrior two position. Maybe you go strong. Maybe you find some softness in your strength. Find the energy that feels good to you right now. Take a breath. And then when you're ready, move it into your triangle. Straighten the front leg, pop the back hip out, land on the block if that feels interesting. Maybe stepping it behind the foot just to find a little variation. Pull the bottom ribs forward, top hand up, gaze is going to be forward for this one. Take a breath. Beautiful. And then lift it up to that reverse triangle. Left hand touches down, right hand reaches up. Circle it around and down. Find your runner's lunge. Place your block towards the front end of your mat. Plant your palms. Step back to plank. Lower your knees. Lower gently down onto your belly. Inhale up to cobra just as high as you like. Exhale up to down dog or through table to down dog. From here, we're going to step the left leg up towards the top of the mat. So set yourself up so you're in a lunging position. Grab your yoga block. We're going to use our yoga block for to a half moon balance pose. So you'll use your block on the tall setting. Start to pick your right leg up off the ground. Rotate your hip up towards the ceiling. Shine a little energy out through that right leg, out through your top hand. Reach out through the heels, through the hands, through the crown of your head. Beautiful. Take one more moment, and then when you're ready, soften that leg back to that lunging position. Plant your hands on the ground. Slide your left leg back, three-legged dog. Bend the knee, let the hip roll open. And then set that foot down. We're going to take that all to the other side. Right leg is going to kick up towards the sky. Step it up to the top of your mat. Find a lunging position. Grab your block. Plant your hand on that block. Start to shift your weight forward. Pick up the left leg. See how that feels. And then if it feels good and balanced, rotate the hip up towards the ceiling. And it's not so much about height, it's about control and finding that little bit of energy reaching down through the standing leg, out through your extended foot, through both arms and out through the crown of your head. Beautiful. And then if you can, slide that leg back into that lunging position. We're going to slide that three-legged dog. Bend the knee, let the hip roll open, take a breath. Beautiful. And then float that leg down, pick up your heels, lower your knees, come to tabletop position. Right leg is going to go out to the side. Now we're going to take it into our gate pose proper. Hands to the hips, come up to that high kneel position. Right hand on the thigh, left hand reaches up, tip over to the right, take a nice big breath. Take that left hand, circle it around and down. So hands are going to find a tabletop position. Once your hands have a tabletop position, take 3 cat-cows. Inhale as you drop your belly. Exhale as you round your back. Once you've done that last cat-cow, we're going to pull the bum back towards the heel just as far as feels good. We're looking for a little gentle stretch in the inner thigh if we can find it. Once you found it, pause there, take a breath. And then lift right back up, and we're going to switch over to the other side. Step your right leg in, step your left leg out, come to that high kneel position, hands to the hips, left hand on the thigh, right hand reaches up, tip over to the left. Beautiful. And then take that right hand, circle it around and down, find that tabletop position. 3 cat-cows here. Once you've completed that last cat-cow, take it back to that inner thigh stretch. So we pull the hips back just as far as feels good. That's going to look different on everybody. So don't worry about going for a look, go for a sensation. And then once you feel that inner thigh stretch, take a breath. And then on your next inhale, lift yourself back up, slide that left leg in. And then we're just going to take a quick bop of the hips side to side, like you're trying to drop your hips down towards the ground. Lovely. One more little bop of the hips from side to side. And then as you come through center, swing your feet out to one side. Take your block with you if you can. Float your legs all the way back around. And then we're going to come down onto our back side, and we're going to take it into a little supported bridge. So take your time as you come down onto your back. And then once you're down on your back, pause for a moment and just notice. Notice how your body feels. Notice where your mind is at. Nice. And now we're going to lift the hips up, slide your block underneath. So depending on your height or your mood, maybe go for a medium setting, see how that feels to get a little bit of height in the hips. If you get there and you're like, wow, energetically or just physically, that's a little much, flip it to the lower setting. Find a setting that feels strong and supportive, where you feel maybe a little stressing sensation through the front pocket area, or maybe the sense of support that lets you relax that front pocket area. Let your arms come out at your sides, and then we're going to bring that breath focus back in. So we're going to breathe past the curve of our ribs into the solar plexus. Take one more breath. We're going to push firmly into our feet. Lift your hips up. If your block is already on the low setting, keep it there. If your block was on the medium setting, flip it to the low setting. Once you're on the low setting, settle your hips back down onto the block. Make sure the block feels good underneath you. And then we're going to lift the legs up into a bent knee tabletop position. We're going to bring our hands to those front protruding hip bones. We're going to keep those hip bones as stable as we can. And now we're going to start to alternate toe taps. So we're going to reach one toe down towards the ground and then the other. Think, move your thigh away from your heart rather than trying to just like bend the knee and touch the foot down. Move your thigh away from you and then pull the thigh back up. And then tune in and notice the movement underneath your fingers. Are your hip bones staying pretty level, or do you feel like you're wobbling all over the place? You'll feel some gentle movement of the skin, the muscles, the connective tissue underneath your fingers, but we still want to keep those hip points as level as we can. Go for one or two more. We're looking for a light sense of fatigue as we do this work. Let's take one more time each side, and then we're going to pull the right knee towards the heart. Left leg is going to extend nice and long to the end of your mat. Little hip flexor stretch. So we're compressing the right hip flexor, stressing the left side. Left arm is going to reach up and overhead, and then we're going to flex the left foot. Reach through the left hand. Take that little yawning stretch. Take a big inhale. Reach, reach, reach through your heel and through your fingertips. Awesome. And then release and switch. Pull the left knee toward your heart. Send your right leg nice and long. Make sure the block feels good underneath you. One side might feel a little different than the other. Once you're there, flex your right foot, stretch your right arm up and overhead. Reach and take that pandiculation. Reach through your heel, reach through your fingertips. Take a nice big breath. We're going to keep that right leg long, keep the right hand up and overhead, release your left leg to meet the right, release your left arm to meet your right. So arms up and overhead, legs nice and long, and then do that pandiculation again. Reach through your fingers, reach through your heels, take a nice big breath. Lovely. And then when you're ready, slowly, gently, mindfully start to walk your feet back in. So now you're in that low hip bridge supported position. Bring your hands back down alongside your hips. Pause for a moment, just take a breath. Awesome. And then when you're ready, lift your hips up, move that block out from underneath you, set it off to the side, pull your right knee toward your heart, let your left leg go nice and long, and we're moving it right into a supine twist. Take that right knee over and across the body to the left, right arm opens wide, head turns to the right. Once your head is turned to the right, if you can, look your eyes to the left. So your head is going to stay turned to the right. Your eyes are going to find a steady focus look to the left. Hold that focus gaze. See if you can hold it for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release your eyes, blink them out if you need to. Return your head to center, pull your right knee in toward your heart, pull your left knee in to meet, hang on to your left knee, send your right leg nice and long. Take that left knee over and across the body, moving that supine twist over to the other side. Left arm opens wide, head turns to the left. Once your head is turned to the left, if it feels good, look your eyes to the right and hold that steady gaze. And then see if you can hold your eyes in that steady position for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release your eyes, blink them out if you need to. Return your head to center. Pull your left knee back in towards your heart. Bring the right knee into meet. And then we're going to come back to that roll across the shoulder. So a nice generous roll from side to side. Beautiful. One more nice generous roll from side to side. And then we're going to move right towards our Shavasana. So once you've rolled just enough across the back, start to ask yourself, where would be your best Shavasana? Would it feel good to come back to constructive rest, which can be supportive to the low back? Would it feel good to take that more traditional shape, extending your legs nice and long? And then if you're in that cool space, grab your blanket, get your socks on, put your sweater on, get yourself tucked in so that you don't come out of this position feeling too terribly cold or too terribly stiff. You always have the option to stay in your Shavasana just as long as you like. But if you feel ready to do so, you're going to start by just gently turning your head a little bit side to side. And think of this as not trying to move in such a deep range of motion, but feeling the back of your head connected to the solidness of the floor underneath you. And then keep those head turns going if they feel good, but then start to wiggle the fingers, wiggle the toes just a little bit. And then maybe let your head turns come to stillness and start to move your wrists and move your ankles. And then as you move your wrists and ankles, you may hit a point where your breath starts to come in at a slightly deeper breath. And so once you hit that deeper breath, then move into your limbs a little bit more. Wiggle your knees, wiggle your elbows, maybe move your hips a little side to side. Any bigger, grander movement that kind of makes you feel connected to the whole floor beneath you. And then once you feel like everything's sort of getting that nice waking up sensation, then take it into that big yawning stretch. Stretch your arms up and overhead. Find that length, reach through your fingers, reach through your toes. And then we're going to slowly roll to one side. So as you release that big good morning stretch, roll over onto your favorite side and then pause for a moment in that side lying position. Let your hand rest on the ground. Let your head rest on the ground. Take a breath. Notice the breath in your rib cage. Nice. And then when you're ready, slowly bring yourself up to a comfortable seated position. So maybe coming to Sukhasana with legs crossed, but you do have your yoga block. So if it feels better to have a little bit of a supported seat, maybe place your yoga block underneath your butt. And then once you've found the seated position that makes the most sense to you, we're going to fire up our palms. So bring your hands together, get your hands nice and good and hot. Once your hands feel nice and good and hot, we're going to cup them around the knees. So any place around the knees that you feel like is a nice tender touch, place your hands on your knees, close your eyes, take a nice generous breath in. Slow breath out. Bring your hands back together, fire up your palms, get them nice and good and hot. Once your hands feel nice and good and hot, we're going to place them on the hip points or around the hips in any way that you get a handhold that makes sense to you. Once your hands feel good and hot, hands on the hips, close your eyes, take a nice deep breath in. Slow breath out. Bringing the hands together one last time, fire them up really nice and good. We're going to give ourselves a hug and a squeeze. So once your hands feel nice and good and warm, you're going to hug around your shoulders, get as nice of a tight squeeze as you can. Let your elbows tuck down a little bit. Prayer hands to heart center in Anjali Mudra and bow your head to your heart. Breathing in love and gratitude for yourself, for your mind, for your body, and for all of your hard work. Take a moment to just take a breath and feel the warmth or space in between your palms touching. And then as you exhale, let your shoulders soften, let your jaw soften, and see if you can just let go of anything you're holding on to that won't serve you through the rest of your day. And then when you feel ready, gently lift up through the top of your head, gently open your eyes. I bow to you. Happy Thursday. You guys are amazing.